Hi, Tammy.
Who are you?
I'm the better version of you. See how beautiful I am? How flawless my skin is? You can have this too. But I like the way I look. Why look like that when you can look like this, or this, or this, or this, or even this, or this? You see, we have options. Which do you prefer? Which do you prefer? We live in a society today where the obsession for beauty has gotten so extreme that body alterations, enhancements, and filters are the new pretty. And just being your normal self is the new ugly. So, what does all of this mean? And are you one of the uglies or one of the pretties? Well, let's get into it. Hi, my name is Tammy, and welcome back to my channel. And if you are new here, I time travel, tackle beauty constructs, and I also teach about feminine energy and behavioral traits. So right now in this video, we are in the beauty construct area. And before I get started, I just want to say I've been missing making my long form videos. My schedule got completely hectic and it threw me off my balance, but I am determined to be consistent with my long form videos. But in the meantime, I did create a short form web series called The Cherry Blossoms, based on these women set in the 1950s, based on the main character, Cherry, who is relentless about winning this pie festival. It has drama, comedy, and it's very chaotic, so you should check it out if you have not. So today I'm going to talk about what is considered ugly in today's society versus what is considered pretty in today's society. So first of all, I want to start by saying what may be appeasing to one's eyes over here may not be appeasing to one's eyes over there. But people are all entitled to their opinion. So with that being said, let's get into the definition of ugly. So the definition of ugly is unpleasant or repulsive, especially in appearance. Some synonyms are unattractive, ill-favored, hideous, unlovely, plain-featured, plain-looking, displeasing, grotesque, and disagreeable. So some very strong adjectives there. So now let's get into the definition of what is considered pretty. So pretty is attractive in a delicate way without being truly beautiful or handsome, which is kind of weird because that kind of contradicts itself. Some synonyms are attractive, appealing, charming, delightful, nice, lovely, winning, dainty, graceful, bewitching, and lovable. The definitions alone, there is a stark difference between the two. The synonyms associated with ugly are all negative and have an opposition to being liked and desired. So for example, grotesque and disagreeable. The one that really got me was the plain featured or plain looking. What is plain looking or plain featured? Is plain looking not having the eyelashes, full out long hair, and the makeup and the body enhancements? Is that considered plain? And do you have to have all of that to be considered pretty? Or does plain looking or plain featured mean that you don't have anything significant about your face that automatically draws someone to you? It's almost as if they grouped it into some unappealing, boring category. And the definitions associated with being pretty are mostly positive. The ones that stood out to me were lovable, appealing, and winning. Now, winning alone shows that being beautiful is ranked higher and is associated with more gains and advantages. So already with the definitions, we have a complete divide in how this group is perceived over this group. So I do want to say that I think pretty, or the need to feel pretty, beautiful and desired, or wanted and loved, is a need that we all want to feel. We all want to feel beautiful and pretty to some extent, especially women, which is why we go get our hair done, we put on makeup, We try to enhance ourselves in certain ways by the clothes we put on or our jewelry. Feeling pretty lends itself to feeling wanted and loved. So if someone doesn't feel pretty or is not treated as if they are pretty, especially if they feel ugly or they are treated as one of the uglies, then what does that do to someone mentally, psychologically, and physically? Well, unfortunately, there was a study done to test this. So if you're not familiar with it, back in the 13th century, the German king Frederick II conducted a diabolical experiment intended to discover what language children would naturally grow up to speak if they were never spoken to. I first learned about this study when I was studying psychology in college, and it really broke my heart. Like, it was really sad and unfortunate they did this to anyone, especially babies. So in this study, Frederick II, he had two groups of babies. He took one group of babies and he put them in a room where they were forbidden to speak to them, touch them, and show them any signs of affection. And then he put the other group in another room with the nurses where they were given affection, they were loved on, they were talked to. They were treated with love and care. Frederick's experiment had to be cut short, but not before something tragically significant regarding human nature was revealed. The babies grew up to speak no language at all because they died. A similar experiment was done in 1944, where 40 babies were evaluated, in which half of them, their physical needs were met, but they were not allowed any affection. They were not looked at or talked to. This experiment also had to be stopped because the babies ended up dying. So this experiment alone showed that people need to feel loved and they need to feel affection, and that is an innate feeling that we all need as humans. So going back to what I was saying, imagine if you don't get that level of attention, that level of love and affection, that level of validation. What does it do to someone psychologically? A lot. So we can't say we're surprised that beauty enhancements, plastic surgery, filters, we can't be surprised that the beauty industry is a multi-billion-dollar industry. So I recently watched a movie on Netflix called The Uglies, which prompted me to make this video. So The Uglies is a movie in a dystopian society where the pretties are separated from the uglies. The uglies at age 16. And that's if they don't get into any trouble and they have been complying with the system. So at age 16, they then qualify to have surgery where they are made pretty. Now, mind you, before this surgery and leading up to it, they get visuals of prettier options of themselves. For example, they get to choose their hair color, their eye color, and if they want a different nose or if they want to get rid of all their blemishes. They all get to choose what versions of themselves they want. For example, the lead character liked the visual of herself with golden eyes. Now, once they have this surgery, they become what is considered pretty. And now the pretties, they live in this aesthetically beautiful town or paradise, I should say, where everything is high tech, they have fun, and they party, and they hang out in these popular cliques. Now, what really stood out to me was that the uglies were seen as rebellious and crazy if they didn't want the surgery, or if they just wanted to be themselves. And the pretties were all brainwashed to be compliant and agreeable, which are some of the parallel adjectives to being pretty. And that word agreeable sticks out to me because, as you see in today's society, if having a big butt is the now new trend or pretty thing, then a lot of people just fall in line with it. They become agreeable because that is what is acceptable, and the need and the desire and the want to be accepted makes them feel pretty. One of the other biggest things that stood out to me about this movie was the psychological component. When the movie opens, you see the two main characters, Squint and Paris, who are both in the Uglies group at this particular point in time. Now, looking at the both of them, I was like, ugly where? I saw two conventionally attractive people, but in this movie they were considered ugly, and they believed that they could improve. But I also noticed that the ones that got the surgery that all looked pretty, they all looked one and the same. They all looked like the same person. They didn't have any individuality. They looked overly done. They looked like cartoon characters. And for me, because they didn't have any individuality anymore, To me, that was plain and lackluster and boring, which is synonymous with what the definition of ugly is. So for me, it was quite contradicting because being the same cookie cutter version of everybody else is boring. But somehow, psychologically, everyone was made to feel like that being yourself wasn't enough and that you had to get some type of enhancement or alteration to become pretty in this world. It just reiterated the robotic nature of society where media brainwashes you to think that you have to fall in line with certain standards, and if you don't, then you're crazy. So who exactly are the pretties in today's society? Well, the pretties are the ones that have the money and or the resources to go get whatever they need to get done to their faces and their bodies to meet societal beauty standards. I kind of feel like we live in a vending machine, microwave kind of society to where literally technology has advanced so much that it's almost as if you want anything done to your face or your body, that you can almost go to a vending machine and press a button and get it. If you want a new nose, you can get that done. If you want a new body, there's a procedure for that. If you want a new face, there's a procedure for that. And these procedures are quick. Like I said, it's almost as if you can go to a vending machine, put in some money and press a button and you get what you want. And very quickly. There's not a long turnaround anymore. The pretties, according to society, are the ones who have undergone plastic surgeries and consistent enhancements to keep up with today's youth and beauty standards. And a lot of people that are in the pretties category, they know that they don't necessarily have to have money. They have to have money somewhere somehow to get these procedures done. But once they get it done, a lot of them believe that they don't have to have money because their beauty will garner them the wealth and the lifestyle that they desire, because beauty is the new currency. Now, this is not to be against anyone that wants to do body enhancements or wants to do any kind of alterations to their bodies or their face. We do not know what people are dealing with internally. I'm all for women empowerment, feeling good about yourself. And some people have particular situations or particular traumas that have prompted them to want to make an enhancement or make an alteration. So there is no judgment, but I do feel that these beauty standards have gone way too far and have become very dangerous. It's almost as if you don't really have to be disciplined anymore. You don't have to get up at 7 a.m. or 5 a.m. and go to the gym to get your body in shape. You can just go get something done. And I think a big problem is people really don't have time. The way this world is set up, working all the time and trying to meet not only beauty standards, but other standards society and this world has put on us. A lot of people are mothers. They work 2 jobs, they go to school, they do so many different things. So sometimes, as bad as it may sound, factoring in health and exercise is so hard to fit into your schedule, but also so necessary. It's almost as if you have to pick and choose. So a lot of people resort to these quick turnaround enhancements or alterations because they have a lack of time. So there's a lot wrong with this society in this way, and there's a lot that needs to be corrected. So now, who are the uglies? Well, the uglies are the ones that don't conform and are just themselves. They don't necessarily fit into the beauty standards, but they don't want to and or don't have the money to do so. The uglies are the ones that society feels that if they just did a little nip tuck here or a little tweak here, that they would look better, that it would serve them better. Or if they got breast implants, or if they changed the shape of their cheeks, or if they changed their eye color, or the shape of their face. The uglies are the ones that need more or could do more instead of just settling for just who and what they are. The uglies are the ones who are just plain and not interesting enough. The uglies are the ones that don't get in line and jump on the beauty bandwagons. You get the gist. Now, I know what some of you are saying. Tammy, wait a minute, this isn't true. This is all superficial and shallow, and true beauty is being yourself, and the people that naturally accept themselves are truly the beautiful ones. Now, of course, I know that. I know, like I said earlier, that beauty is in the eye of the beholder, but we are talking about in the terms of societal standards, in terms of the delusion that society has created. I'm speaking in terms of how extreme beauty standards have become. I am speaking in somewhat exaggeration to show how sad this world has become when it comes to beauty. So with the uglies versus the pretties, we're now going to discuss what are some of the dangers that come with this way of thinking. Number one, the loss of individuality. If we all look the same, then what is really unique about us? I'm having a hard time finding the unique differences, and I believe that's why I love vintage and looking back at the older decades, because if you look at the 20s, the 30s, the 40s, the 50s, those decades were all distinct, that they had their own personalities. Women looked different. You saw different faces. You saw different personalities through their faces. It wasn't so cookie cutter. Whatever beauty standard we are underneath, everyone wants to fall in line and follow the trends. And it's really taking away from our individuality. Number two, a lot of these surgeries and these body enhancements and these different things that people are doing to their bodies is very dangerous. A lot of people are falling underneath the desperation of, I gotta get it done, or I gotta go to this country, they do it cheaper. Some people are not researching thoroughly and not being as safe as they could be, leading to major mistakes, major accidents, or the surgery or the alteration not coming out as good or as well as they liked. And so they have to go get it done a second, third, or fourth time. And some of these surgeries, once you get them one time, you do have to get it updated. So sometimes these surgeries come in 2, 3, and 4 parts. That's a lot of work being done to your body for vanity reasons. And some of these surgeons have been getting in trouble for not being credited, not having the right certifications. And a lot of women are regretting these surgeries, and this can lead to some very unfortunate outcomes. So this desperation and this need to fit in or to look a certain way for whatever reason can be very dangerous. And a lot of these procedures, surgeries, alterations also have side effects that if you don't experience them earlier on, you may experience them at some point. And that may lead you to a plethora of doctor visits trying to get things corrected or trying to get things under control. It can be a lot of stress and anxiety, and it just may not be worth it. Now, that's not to say that this happens to everybody. There are some people that have had these surgeries and procedures and alterations, and they're fine for the most part. But there is a lot of stories and information about these surgeries and these alterations going terribly wrong. So if you do decide to do any of this, just be careful and be well researched, and do not let desperation lead the charge. Number 3, an altered reality. So one way these beauty standards can alter reality is through filters. Now, I don't think filters are necessarily the worst thing in the world, but with the continued use of it, it can really alter your reality. And it can be very shocking. You can find a filter to take away your blemishes. You can find a filter to make you have smoother skin. You can find a filter if you want your face to have a certain shape. You can literally find a filter for anything. So I remember when I was using filters, I was using it because I didn't like my skin at the time. But if my skin wasn't looking a certain way, and if I didn't feel like putting on makeup, I would just put on a filter. I would do it very subtly, but still I was using the filter. So after using the filter for a little while, I said, okay, let me take a picture of myself without the filter. And it shocked the out of me. It shocked me because I didn't know who I was looking at. I had gotten so used to my filtered face that I did not recognize my face, my natural God-given face. I didn't recognize it. And I found myself in some type of quarrel between, who do I choose here? Do I continue choosing the filtered version of myself? Or do I go back to the other version of myself? Mind you, when you take pictures and you use filters, that kind of becomes your persona. That kind of becomes the new version of you. People are looking at that version of you, and we all know this. We all know that people's profile pictures or their Instagram pictures look quite different from how they look in real life. And I didn't like that. I didn't like that you can look one way online versus in person, because what happens is, there are people that know you in real life that are going to see you in person. There are people that are going to be using their cameras when you're at events to take pictures of you, and people are going to notice, wait a minute, in these pictures, when other people took pictures of you, you look very, very different versus the pictures that we see you take of yourself and post of yourself. So there becomes some type of different reality. You kind of create like almost like an avatar of yourself. You create like an avatar of yourself. You're not a real person anymore. And I was like, I can't do this. I gotta see my real face. I gotta be real with myself. If I'm having blemishes, if I'm having issues with my skin, then it is what it is. So for me, what I did, I took back control. I no longer wanted to use a filter to smooth my skin. I just began eating healthier, and then I began to get back on drinking my 8 to 9 cups of water a day. And for me, just taking care of myself holistically, drinking my water, eating healthy, to me, that was more rewarding than just saying, hey, throw a filter on. It'll be okay, because it's not me. I want to be truthful to me. I didn't like lying to myself. And like I said, there's nothing wrong with using a filter if you want to be subtle about it, or if you just want to use it every once in a while. But the issue is when it becomes an altered reality. When you start believing that this version of you is really you versus the real you, that's when we have an issue. And that's an issue because some people won't be seen in photographs without filters. So they protect the filtered version of themselves. They won't be seen in certain photographs. They won't allow you to put them up if they're in a group picture, if they feel like, okay, this is gonna show me in a way that I'm not used to being seen. Some people can no longer tell how extreme the filter is. To them, it starts to look normal, even though people outside looking in, we know that it doesn't look normal. And then of course we do have Photoshop and other apps where we can morph our bodies. We can do all these different things to ourselves. And like I said, for me, it started to become a problem when I felt like I was erasing myself or shunning my true self, and I cannot do that. That's just something that I cannot be a part of. There are even filters that change your skin tone. Now, I gotta admit, filters can be fun to play with at times, because it's kind of fun to see yourself in different variations, but just for fun. But when it goes too far, we gotta admit, too far is too far. It's too far. It's too much. Number 4, if we don't get back in control of this could be the new norm. This is becoming so normal. Some people almost look at you like you're crazy if you don't want any enhancements or alterations done. It's becoming the norm so much that people are starting to feel that they are not good enough and that they just gotta do something. Like, even the most prettiest perceived people, I can be prettier. I gotta do something. There's always something you can do to enhance yourself, right? It's kind of like that mentality. Now, I do want to make it clear that enhancements are different from permanent alterations. Like, for example, makeup enhances us. The way we put on maybe a waist trainer or we put on Spanx underneath our clothes enhances us, but it's temporary. We can always go back to ourselves, and we always have the option of working on ourselves, versus when you do these alterations and permanently cutting something or adding something to change the way you look or the way your body is formed. Temporary enhancements of enhancing what you already have is different from body alterations, but people do debate if they are also one and the same, and if they are both some form of denial. For me, this type of brainwashing is dangerous because it psychologically teaches you that you are not enough. It plays off the trauma of being rejected or being treated badly because you don't look as good as someone thinks you should look. But one of the most dangerous things about this brainwashing is that it teaches children from a very early age that they are not good enough and that they have to look and be a certain way to be deemed beautiful. It creates a mental complex and it warps the minds of young people before they even have a chance to figure themselves out internally. How do we know what beauty is or what pretty is if we weren't constantly fed and told what beauty and pretty is? How would we know? So many beauty standards are being pushed upon us that we don't even have time to figure out what we actually like ourselves. I think one of the saddest videos I saw was of this little girl. Someone was doing her hair, and the little girl she caught a glimpse of herself in the mirror. She said, "But I'm still ugly." And maybe this little girl felt like, by getting her hair done, she would look better, she would feel better. Like I said, feeling pretty and beautiful, it is a feeling that we all want to feel. So this little girl didn't feel like, after she got her hair done, she didn't feel like it fixed her feeling beautiful inside. And of course, somewhere, maybe on the playground, maybe some adult, who knows, somewhere, somehow, someone either told this little girl or made this little girl feel like she was not beautiful and that she was lesser than. This little girl was probably around 5 to 7. So we have 5 to 7-year-olds, if this keeps going, maybe even younger, feeling like, okay, when I get a certain age, I gotta fix this, fix that, fix this. I gotta do all of these different things to feel and look beautiful. Kind of like in the movie that I mentioned earlier, The Uglies, where they get these visuals of more beautiful options of themselves. And they get to pick and choose which one they wanna go with. This is crazy. And there's also a debate that I want you guys to chime in on in the comment section. When it comes to women, why do women get all these enhancements done? When women get their hair done and get their bodies done, are they doing this to get the attention of men? Or are they doing this to compete with other women? I've heard about this debate for a while, and I really don't know if we have a clear-cut answer. I don't know. Chime in the comment section below. So with all of that being said, what are we doing? How far do we need to take these beauty standards? And with the advancement of technology, do you think these standards would get even worse? Where do you foresee it 10 years from now? So like I said, let's continue this conversation in the comments section. So please feel free to leave your thoughts. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And we shall see you all in the next one. Bye now.